Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room,
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show. I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. About to get into it here. Appreciate it. Welcome. Lovely Wednesday today. And I'm rocking the Millet. I think I'm rocking the Javier Millet right now. Looking a little swarthy, although they say the Argentinians aren't really swarthy. There's some debate about that. I'm talking about this guy, new president of Argentina. I think I'm kind of rocking the Millet a little bit. Thinking I might need a haircut. Whoa! Yeah. Anyways, folks, welcome to the show. I see you guys rolling in. Appreciate that. What's up, everybody? Yes, I am also live on DLive. That's dlive.tv/Gorgonzola. That's rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. And x.com/Gorgonzola. I'm live there as well. So hi, everybody. Welcome. Mr. Pink, Skyjack, John Frederick, Albert, Chris, and everybody rolling in. Looking real grunge there, buddy. Well, we'll be getting into a couple of things here, as well as your calls, of course. 888-775-3773 if you want to jump on the air and get on and talk to the Anchor Baby. What's up, everybody? I want to show you a little news. I want to show you a little bit of insane minds, insanity in the mind. You know about this. You know about the insanity in the mind, but check this out. This BBC article. They're talking about a museum over there somewhere. North Hertfordshire. My bad. Museum, the North Hertfordshire Museum. I'm talking about a little bit of news here. Museum reclassifies Roman emperor as a trans woman. Rewriting history. They're talking about Elagabalus. Elagabalus. My bad. Elagabalus. Right? Known as also Marcus Aurelius Antoninus. Why is so many Marcus Aureliuses back then? It's like it's like a whole country full of Nicholas Gonzalez's. It's a very common name, if you didn't know. I also doxed myself. But they're saying this born a man emperor was actually trans. North Hertfordshire Museum will now refer to Emperor Elagabalus with the female pronouns of she and her. If you don't know about this emperor, this person's gender identity has been debated, hotly debated by the academics. See if I can copy this tab and show you what I'm looking at. I'm talking about a Roman emperor. They are, at least. Elagabalus. Looking, that's a male, right? Caricature. I see, what, is that like an Adam's apple going on here? What's going on here? They drew that? Anyways, they're saying this person was actually trans. Going back in history, figuring that one out. And they're making it official. A museum's it comes after classical texts claim the emperor once said, "Call me not Lord, for I am a lady." That's enough for them to say, well, this person's pronouns was she, her, and you will refer to this now long gone person as such. Because it's only polite and respectful, which is what this museum spokesperson said. Only polite and respectful to be sensitive to identifying pronouns for people in the past. But polite, who are you being polite and respectful to? This person's dead, right? Silly thing anyways. Polite and respectful on a person who didn't claim the things that you're claiming. Kind of rude. And they say this polite and respectful stuff the same way they talk about love. Well, it's just loving. You can't be hateful and bigoted. This person said, "I am a lady." And so they agreed with this classical text, this claim. Apparently, the emperor once said this. And they read that and said, you know what? You are a lady. Their first conclusion wasn't, wow, he had issues. No. Their conclusion is, you're right. 𝒔𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, you're not a lord, you're a lady. Amazing. Says more about the people than it does about 𝒔𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, in my opinion. The museum has one coin of 𝒔𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, which is often displayed amongst other LGBTQ plus items in the collection. So it's like already an LGBT museum or whatever. I don't know how this museum runs things. I don't know if they put 𝒔𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔 in some LGBTQ section. I don't know if they have some LGBTQ like a display or something, but they have a collection and they've added 𝒔𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔 there. Because he was a champion of LGBTQ rights, I'm sure they will say now. It said it consulted LGBTQ plus charity Stonewall to ensure displays, publicity, and talks are as up-to-date and inclusive as possible. Imagine modernizing history. Like, that doesn't even make sense. It has to be up-to-date. We gotta update their language. These dead people don't even know what they're talking about. So we're going to show them respect. We're going to be polite. We're going to just put words in their mouths. You know, the pronoun LGBT stuff. Apparently, he may have said he's a lady. Amazing how their first conclusions was to just go along with that. You would think that someone would read that and think, well, obviously he had issues. Marcus Aurelius Antoninus, better known as Elagabalus, ruled the Roman Empire for just 4 years, from 218 AD, Anno Domini, to his assassination, aged 18, in 222 AD. Hold up. Wait a minute. Assassination? Seems like some people didn't like him. Now, of course, I disavow assassination and violence, but this already happened. Maybe seems like he wasn't liked. And of course, as an emperor, obviously, this dates this whole thing to the imperial Rome, Rome's final stage, when they were an empire. In fact, it was around this age, 200 AD onwards, they really expanded to the most they would ever expand to, the Roman Empire, West Asia and all that. They had grown to their biggest, never grown any bigger. So this is like the final stage, aren't these those years when stuff was like degenerate and falling apart? The empire was coming apart. The loss of identity, right? Roman identity in terms of being a nation. And you know, when that happens, borders don't exist anymore. I read about how that even happened to the Roman Empire. Immigration and people in there who weren't Roman. It was just whatever. Laissez-faire. The attitude, the culture itself adopted it, including a laissez-faire attitude to sexual immorality. Think about that. 218 AD. Hey, wait a second. Isn't that the bad years? Elagabalus. They're glorifying him in this little thing here. Or glorifying the one part they like that they may use, because people don't really care about people. They say, oh, transgender this. It's always for the children. They say it's for the children. It's for this person. It's for the minorities, for the women, for the blacks. But it's actually always evil. It's not really about love. It's about using these people towards an end. So I'm reading this article here, continuing here. He became an increasingly controversial figure over his short reign. Okay, see, talking about a little bit. We're going to gloss over that, right, BBC? Developing a reputation for sexual promiscuity. Oh, BBC leaves this out. You know, many historians speak about Elagabalus in a nasty way. They compare him to Caligula, one of the more infamous rulers of the Roman Empire, known for his out-of-control decadence. Infamous. Not a good thing. Let's talk about that, BBC, huh? No, but let's just celebrate LGBTQ. Cassius Dio, a senator and contemporary of Elagabalus, reads this article here, writes in his historical chronicles that the emperor was married 5 times. Oof. 4 times to women and once to �𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, a former slave and chariot driver. His final flame, his final love. Okay, so he had issues, obviously. Like BBC, that's what we're talking about. The guy had issues. But they read, I'm a lady, and they said, no, this person's a rational person, and this person's right. This person is a lady. Ignoring their own eyes. So married 4 times to women, once to �𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, a former slave and chariot driver. I mean, things didn't quite work out, I guess. In his final marriage, Dio writes, this historian, writes that the emperor, Elagabalus, was bestowed in marriage and was termed wife, mistress, and queen. Okay. Little pronoun action here. This emperor guy, he said he was a wife, a queen, a mistress. And they read that and said, you know what? He's right. They read that and said, this guy makes sense. This guy's making a lot of sense to me. He's a pretty rational guy. Dang, this guy was ahead of his time, they might even say. Not understanding the progress. He really was ahead. The bleeding edge of the downfall of Rome. Very progressive. The debate over Elagabalus's gender identity is long-standing and often splits academics. You gotta love that. You gotta love the academics. We love the academics, right? So smart, so intelligent, and this has been a hotly debated thing. I wonder what academics and when. I'd like to know that, because they're talking about this Dr. Shushma. What kind of name is that? Shushma. You know what a chusma is? Chusma. Shout out to any Mexicans in the chat. What's chusma in English? That's a phrase. It's a term they used in some old Mexican show. But I'm not talking about chusmas. Shout out El Chavo del Ocho. El Chavo del Ocho. I'm not talking about chusmas. I'm talking about Dr. Shushma Malik. Nice English name in Cambridge. A nice English name over there in Cambridge. In the University of Classics, a professor told the BBC, the historians we use to try and understand the life of Elagabalus are extremely hostile towards him. Bunch of bigots. And therefore cannot be taken at face value. Yeah, we're just going to ignore all these historians who were a little bit closer to that age and wrote about it. Yeah, we can discount that. I'm a university professor. I'm an academic. We don't have any direct evidence from Elagabalus himself of his own words. According to this, Dr. Shushma. Okay. However, there are many examples in Roman literature of times where effeminate language and words were used as a way of criticizing or weakening a political figure. I wonder what words did the Romans use for Elagabalus? He was a fruity individual. No, that's a little bit too modern, no? He enjoyed what were they? What was that? What's that? Dionysus? That Roman god, ancient Greek god of winemaking and wine. Anytime I see this Dionysus character portrayed in modern media, he's always quite effeminate. Do you think that's what they called him? Oh, that Elagabalus, friggin' Dionysus worshiper, friggin' winemaker, friggin' into all this sex stuff over here. Somebody get him. Apparently someone did get him. He was assassinated, they say. Oh, man, references to Elagabalus wearing makeup, wigs, and removing body hair may have been written to undermine him. You can imagine, like, a Roman's waking up. A Roman wakes up for a day of work, as they do. They have their breakfast of butter, bread, and a pint of wine. Yes, this is actually true. There's some evidence for this. Pint of wine, a get up in the morning. They're reading the morning paper, the morning papyrus. I don't know. And they're all like, yeah, it's like, what? They're TMZ. They're gossip articles. They're gossip. The Sun. No way, honey. Elagabalus. They caught him wearing makeup and a wig. Imagine that. What a cigarette. Wait a second. I'm doing that thing where we mess up terms and time periods. Isn't there a term for that in movies? Anyways. Dr. Malik added that whilst Romans were aware of gender fluidity, I'd like to know, where's they getting that from? There are examples of pronouns being changed in literature. It was usually used in reference to myth and religion. Okay. We know that Elagabalus identified as a woman and was explicit about which pronouns to use, which shows that pronouns are not a new thing, he added. Okay, so Dr. Malik is a he. But can we be too sure? These pronoun lovers can't trust their pronouns, can't even trust their own pronouns. But like I was saying, they call it polite and respectful and sensitive. But really, it's militant. It's militant in a way of using the past and current people to advance their anti-family, anti-tradition, anti-Christian agenda. He became an increasingly controversial figure, etc. Because the whole thing is like, it doesn't change the fact that he was a he and not a she. I mean, obviously that's simple, but using history and all this to advance their own notion of reality. It's what everybody does, really. Trying to hold it together, finding evidence, quote unquote, and nitpicking life to build up this rickety house you call your identity even further. But what's funny about this is it says more about the people agreeing and being all academic and coming up with their conclusions here. Anachronism. Thank you, Nugget Man. Yes, it is different from 𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔. Hake. But it says more about the people. It shows how insane they are. Because they didn't read that and think, wow, Elagabalus had issues. Dang. And this guy became emperor. What a mess. And then try and gather some kind of insight that way. No, it's, this guy makes sense. I mean, there's another story in the news right now, in the news cycle, that kind of has a similar conclusion here. Insane minds think alike. Even if they're reading about it in a book in history, insane minds agree. What do they say? Genius minds think alike? Well, insane ones do. Evil ones do. I am so lost. What are you lost about? So, there's another story in the media, the news cycle right now, like I was saying. It's about this name you may even remember. The details were definitely not fresh in my mind. It happened earlier this year, April. There was a shooting at a bank. Connor Sturgeon, 2023 Louisville bank shooting. You may remember this, but the news goes fast. They throw stuff in the memory hole, and we just brush it along. And we continue trying to do the same thing, trying to fix these issues, these things going on, and no one's saying that it's not working. I'm talking about Connor Sturgeon. April 10th, 2023, a mass shooting occurred at the Old National Bank in Louisville, Kentucky. 5 people were killed, 8 injured. When Connor Sturgeon, who was, I believe, a worker there, the shooter used an AR-15 style rifle. The perpetrator, Connor James Sturgeon. I believe he was a worker at this bank. Not too important here. The point is that shooting happened. And the news, it's in the news cycle again because some sort of report came out. Now, I don't know why all of a sudden this is coming out. Can't tell you why. Now, I don't know why all of a sudden this is in the news. I don't know if this was already known, but it is in the news. And they're talking about the Louisville bank shooter, Connor Sturgeon. They're highlighting how, this report highlights how his reasoning for doing this shooting. Again, I can't remember if this was already known, but there's an interesting parallel here with Elagabalus. Louisville bank shooter Connor Sturgeon wanted to highlight lax gun laws. So his whole thing was that he was going to show the world, show America, that these lax gun laws are a problem. So he's going to buy a gun and go to a bank and shoot it up to make a point. That's what his insane mind told him. You know what? These lax gun laws, they're causing all these shootings. They're causing death. They're causing all these problems. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cause problems and shoot up a place so that I can fix it and show people the error of their ways. That's insane, obviously, right? There's no way anybody would agree. You hear someone say that and you tell them, wow, that is a crazy conclusion. You have problems. So Louisville bank shooter Connor Sturgeon wanted to highlight lax gun laws. The Louisville banker who opened fire, so he was a banker there, who opened fire at his workplace, killing 5 people, 8 others, was apparently motivated by his outrage over what he deemed to be lax gun control laws. Just reading this article here from Revolver New York Post. He hoped his rampage would spur lawmakers to enact new measures. I have decided to make an impact, Connor Sturgeon, 25, wrote in his journal 6 days before the April 10th shooting. These people did not deserve to die, but because I was depressed and able to buy guns, they are gone, he wrote. Perhaps this is the impact for change. Upper-class white people dying. Ooh. Hatred. He hated white people. He had a big problem. I certainly would not have been able to do this if were it more difficult to get a gun, Sturgeon continued. I know our politicians are solely focused on lining their own pockets, but maybe this will knock some sense into them, he added. If not, good luck. I mean, it's an insane conclusion, right? Even if you believe the gun laws are lax and all that, to say, wow, you know what? He had a point. He had a point. Is you agreeing with an insane mind. But people do this because they are themselves as savage and insane as Connor Sturgeon. Just one hoop and a holler away, as they say, from being Jeffrey Dahmery. Journal entries Sturgeon made in the days before the shooting detail how he was suffering from persistent depression. And it's so insane to read his journal and him to have that awareness and be like, I'm depressed. And it's because of my depression, I'm going to go shoot. And I'm going to go kill. And I'm going to show people. But on top of it, though, I'm going to have a noble reason. I'm going to have a noble reason. But this defies logic. Who's really in control? I'm going to do something good. I'm depressed, and my depression is going to make me kill someone. But I have enough control and enough self-awareness to know all this, act on it, and wrap it around and make it and turn it around for good. it at the same time is implying this self-awareness and control, but paradoxically the inability to stop himself from doing all this. It defies logic here. But a lot of people see this and it makes sense. Well, he was depressed. He's going to shoot someone. I mean, he has a point. He has a point, some will say. The journal entries Sturgeon made in the days before the shooting detail. Oh, yeah, I already read that. On April 3rd, for example, he wrote about his struggle with depression and how he is unable to escape it, even though he has been trying for the past year with therapy, medications, and other self-care methods. More on that later, but we keep trying to do things that don't work. We just keep trying things that don't work. You could graph it. How many people were depressed before antidepressants, and ever since that, you could just graph it upwards and upwards and upwards, and there's more and more. And they used to say, well, that's just because we're recording it more. Now it's just a known thing. But that was years ago, almost a decade. Like, I've heard that a long time ago, that argument. And you just can't use that anymore because after a certain amount of time, you have recorded enough to get your sample. What's happening now is an out of control increasing here that people are unable to explain. You could graph this. People are mentally ill more than ever, and it just keeps going up. And the use of psychiatric drugs and all of that's increased. Remember I reported not too long ago, like something like half of millennial women are on antidepressants? Dang. Other entries criticize politicians, the National Rifle Association, and party politics for gun violence and for gun laws that made getting a rifle so easy. Kentucky does not have any red flag laws, and because Sturgeon did not have a prior criminal history, he was able to pass the federal background check. Just one day before carrying out the act, Sturgeon wrote that he is definitely very sick. And he blames the NRA. He blames the NRA. He blames lobbying dollars. He blames all these people. He wrote how something snapped in him. This is not an accident, Sturgeon wrote. I'm sorry I had to lie all week, but this is something I have to do. It's been planned out, but I think it will work. A twisted mind. A twisted mind. And nowhere in his blaming and his talking here did he ever have any kind of reflection on his own life. Not that I've seen. It seems like he never really did understand why he, like he wrote himself right here, why he continues to struggle with depression and is unable to escape it. It seems like he never really did get any insight there. But he had the experts. He had the money. He had two parents who loved him. How can it be? Two parents that loved him. This is not a single mother. This is not a single mother situation, right? It's not a single mother. It's not that he hated his parents or his family, right? He had both parents. Not exactly. I mean, first of all, he hated white people, apparently, from what I'm assuming here, but just from his own scrawlings here. And people who hate their race hate their parents, straight up. And so all about this rampage here, this guy. And of course, I already made my point here, but there are people who agree with that. They're like, but he has a point. But my point is that they're agreeing with an insane mind. I want to show you a little bit about the parents. I'm sure some of this I'm sure the video of these parents doing the interview and all this was hashed over or whatever.
If you had it.
Back in the day, back in April when all this happened. But I want to go over it again real quick here, a couple moments in this exclusive interview with Today, 6 months ago. Parents of Louisville bank shooter speak out in this Today exclusive. And I do see your calls coming in. Thank you. 888-775-3773. I will get to calls here. But I want to go over some moments here with the parents. With the parents of the shooter. Back then, talking about the whole thing. Let me see here. Let's pull it up here. let's skip to this here and let's watch this video here. Let's see if we can gather some insight on some of the mess that happened back then.
I don't think there's any way to know for sure. We know that Connor was struggling with some mental health issues. I'm afraid that whatever we come up with as the cause still isn't going to make sense.
There was no clear tell. So this could happen to someone else, and we don't want that to happen.
That's why you're here.
That's why we're here.
The Sturgeons say Connor's struggles started just a year ago. Panic attacks, anxiety, and an attempted suicide. But he was seeing a psychiatrist, a counselor, and taking medication, things seeming to have settled until 6 days before the shooting.
In the days leading up to this incident, what did you notice about Connor? Was he struggling?
Yes, he called me on the Tuesday before the event, and he said, well, I had a panic attack yesterday, and I had to leave work. And I said, okay, well, what happened? What was the cause? I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I think I should take off a while. And I said, that's fine. You know, we're here to help you.
Did you worry he was suicidal?
That's also inconceivable to me. He was willing to talk to me. He had told us before he would never do such a thing like that to us. I said, I want to see you. I had lunch.
He would never do such a thing to us, she said. He would never do such a thing to us. Jeez. So, you know, they're there, unsure of what to say. They don't want to offend the families, and at a loss for words on what happened here. She says, no clear tell. There were no signs. But there were. I mean, she goes on into those signs right after. She says he was depressed. He says he had panic attacks. That doesn't mean she's going to shoot someone up. But you got to understand, you got to have a couple of ingredients here. You got to have a couple of essential ingredients here to commit an act such as this. One of them is anger. Okay, and this anger and this whole psycho-spiritual twistedness that happens in the mind of depressed and angry people. And if you understand that a little bit, you see that same twisted nature is expressed in all people. You could say in varying degrees, different levels. Some show up more or less. I don't know. More as I get older, I think it's all the same. Just some people hide it better than others. They can hold it back using this or that escape and this or that pressure release, drugs, sex, whatever. But all people have this twisted nature. But they're here at a loss, right? They're saying, there are no signs. I mean, there were. She says, we set up a psychiatrist. That's why we're here, she says. That's why we're here on the show. But to do what? To arrive to nothing? You should have been on the show to tell people we brought him to a psychiatrist and it didn't work. And all these psychiatrists are not working. It's not working. But this is the world, right? This is your world, okay? This is your vulnerable, emotional world where you talk about your feelings. This is your world where you go to a psychiatrist, where you say you're angry and you're depressed and you're an alcoholic, where you say that you're those things. Never really understand, never arriving to any insight. Go to the doctor to get better. But you're not better. No one's getting better. Let's question, am I getting better? Let me pop another pill. That's not better. But this is your world. This is the world we live in. This is the world. This is the solutions they give us. Can we admit it's not working at this point?
Lunch with him.
I think it's time to admit that it's not working, right? Here's another moment from this interview here with the parents of Connor Sturgeon. I think we're going to need Lil Nick on this one, huh? Let me show you the video. Lil Nick, hey, what's up, guys? So we got more of this. Let's watch.
I believe so. And he found the writings. And the roommate said he has a gun. And I'm like, where'd he get a gun? We don't have guns.
What's going through your mind at a moment like that?
Unbelievable. There's no way this is happening. Please stop him. Please make sure nobody gets hurt. This cannot be happening. This is not him.
You didn't dream he's going there to shoot
Absolutely
people.
not.
As I'm driving, then I get a call that says there's been shooting in there, multiple shots. And you go from praying for his life to praying that this is unimaginable. that he just commits suicide and doesn't hurt anyone else.
You're racing to the scene. You call 911.
He's nonviolent. He's never done anything. Please.
This is the mother talking on that 911 call. He's nonviolent. He's never done anything.
You seem in shock, and you say, he's a good boy. Please don't punish him.
And he punished others, and he took others' lives.
He was able to purchase an AR-15. It was legal. Should he have been able to do that?
Absolutely not.
I think the overwhelming majority of Americans don't want people in an impaired state to have a weapon in their hand. Now, it becomes more complex to thread the needle and protect us from those people while still being conscious of the individual rights and liberties. So we're not
so amazing. I mean, take this in, folks. They're on there and they're on there going like, we just don't know. We just couldn't tell. There were no signs. I don't know. It's horrible. The families, he punished people. It's just so bad. Oh yeah, guns? No, guns bad, guns. No, there they have a reason. They're clear on the guns. It's clear. Oh no, yeah, you shouldn't have had that. And in that moment, I saw parents who actually didn't disagree with their son. They still saw their good boy. They still see their good boy, their nonviolent good boy. He's a good boy. And he has a point about the guns. Insane minds agreeing with insane minds. The conclusion, when you see all this and the journal entries and you see all this and you say, that's a disturbed individual killing people, thinking gun laws are going to stop that. Thinking like guns are things. The person had the gun, obviously. You know this already. But they agree with their insane son. They saw this whole thing and they said, my son has a point, though. My good boy. He's just mentally ill. He was just a mentally ill, but he's a good boy, and he has a point. And a whole bunch of people probably feel this way. He has a point, though. These people agree with their crazy, insane son because they're as crazy and insane as he is.
Out here.
And so is the public, so is a whole bunch of people, right? I got one last part here. One last segment here on this same interview with the parents. And then we'll do super chats and calls here. Thank you for the patience. Let us watch.
So here's what we know. We know that Connor was seeing 2 mental health professionals and that he was able to walk in. And from what we've been told, again, I don't know, just what we've been told is that he walked in and walked out with a weapon and ammunition in 40 minutes.
And it was $600.
In less than an hour.
In less than an hour.
The Sturgeons want to see change on multiple fronts. The way mental health conditions are treated, especially the medications prescribed. They wonder if the concussions Connor sustained as an adolescent played any role. So many questions.
It was the concussions. It was the mental health. It was Instagram. It was I don't know. It was gun laws. It wasn't us though. We did the best we could. We stayed married. We loved our son. It wasn't us. It's mental health. It's the gun laws. $600, she says. And they didn't even stop him. Wait. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what was that? What role do we play in this? What a ridiculous question.
And no answers.
What perspective do you think yours brings to this conversation?
We've been, obviously consumed by grief and, well-meaning people keep saying to us, you did what any, reasonable parents would have done. But Connor, in his darkest hour, needed us to be exceptional, not reasonable. And we failed him. We were not exceptional. And I guess if we can send a message to people that you, when you're faced with this, may have to go to exceptional means, maybe that it can help open their eyes to this.
What do you wish you had done? what would have been exceptional?
For 2 weeks, we've been lying in bed awake at night, replaying all this in our head. There's no comprehension of him doing an act like this to others. So our issues are around the minutia of little things like, man, we didn't see that. If, even little things like, as men, we don't always verbalize things to each other, but...
Jeez. So, they don't even think they're wrong. They don't even think they did anything wrong. I know you may have, you may have heard him say, oh, the minutia, the things we missed. See, Nick, they do think they're wrong. No, they don't even think they're wrong. I'm about to show you. He said, they're asked, what could you have done different? Well, there's just no comprehension here. I just can't tell you because we didn't do anything wrong. I mean, there's just no comprehending this. It's exceptional and it's crazy. And they do this thing and it's like, every parent's reached out to us and told us we're amazing, though. Every parents have been reaching out to us and telling us we're amazing and we did what we could and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, let's get that out of the way. And we've been lying awake at night. Why? He's dead. And we're full of grief. He's dead. So the grief and the lying awake at night and all that is for you. And they ultimately don't think they're wrong, and this is why. Because after this whole thing, after this death, their conclusion is what their son thought. Gun laws. Not their... And you heard the father here say, we should have just been more open, more vulnerable, more of what they were already trying to do. They didn't learn a lesson at all. They still think they're correct. They're just thinking they just need to do more of what they were already doing. The mother there said something about being there more or something like that. I forget. No, you were supposed to get out of the way. Be there less. That's the lesson. But no, I have to be there more and more involved and more in and more talking and more psychiatry and more psychiatric meds. These people were pumping your son full of drugs. And you thought that made sense to you. That made sense to you. No, he's fine. He's getting better, they thought. He's getting better, they said. So they don't even think they're wrong. Essentially, their worldview stays the same. It just wasn't enough emotion. It just wasn't enough talking about it. It just wasn't enough mama spirit. So they don't even think they're wrong. And these crazy people agreed with their crazy son. And the crazy media and the crazy insane people see Connor Sturgeon and they say, man, that guy kind of had a point, though. Kind of made some sense, huh? What a mess, huh? I got calls coming in. Let me get to some calls. But first, let me thank the super chatters here. I do believe I have received a few. Thank you, Yes Gunner. Coming in strong with the super chat says, Canada-U.S. border bombing occurred? What? Are we finally going to war with Canada? Let's go invade Canada and liberate the people. Okay, no. Back it up. First we get Trump. Then we invade Canada, liberate the Canadians, kick out all these people, send them back where they came from. Hey, I'm loving it. Looks like good things are happening. I haven't even looked up the news here. Is this real or fake news? Yes, Gunner. Let me look it up. U.S.-Canada border bombing. And I will get to calls here. Just a little bit more patience. U.S.-Canada border bombing. Is this real? U.S.-Canada border. Okay, hold up. Yes. Let's invade Canada. 2 dead after vehicle exploded at U.S.-Canada border. Oh, okay, so it might have been like a terrorist attack. Darn, I thought it was sovereign nations fighting each other. Oh, well, I'll look into this. Yes, Gunner, thank you for that. Birdie Bound Brian. Oh, that was from yesterday. You guys rock, thank you. What's up, Rumble? Thank you for the support. Rocking and rolling over there on D-Live. That is some funny stickers. You guys want to see funny stickers? Check me out on dlive.tv/Gorgonzola. What a mess. Appreciate the support, everybody. Grounds for an annex. I got Scott, Arizona. You're on the air. Appreciate it, sir.
Hey, how's it going, Nick?
We got Scott. Yes, all is well.
All right. Hey, I actually wanted to respond real quick to what you were just talking about, that shooting. Man, what's so interesting about it is, like, everyone, like the shooter originally, right? Like, he's unable to identify his main motive, which is his anger.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
You're so right. They say that that's what this New York Post article was saying. They're saying that was his motive.
Right, and he's like, oh, well, it's someone else's fault. It's the fact that guns are available. It's the NRA. But the reality is he's so lost in his chitta, whatever's going on in his mind, that he's letting his lies lead him into deeper lies. And the reality is he's just angry about something, right? Probably his parents.
A lot of sense, Scott. And it's like when we talk about the mind in this way, it's almost, to us, it's becoming clearer and clearer the more we watch ourselves. But we got to remember what it was like, or what it's like for others. This is like long lost truth. This is hieroglyphics for people, when it should be kind of like a main topic in homes. You know what I mean? And I bet you there was, to a greater degree, maybe not how the words we're using, but I bet you that homes, when they would see a situation like this, their conclusion would be, wow, he has issues, spiritual problems, etc. Not, wow, okay, so he really was mad about the gun laws, and he rationally and clearly made a decision here and went out and shot people to make a point.
And then I think the second most interesting thing is his dad's comments. Because his dad is basically going through some, like, Munchausen syndrome, like the attention he's getting for it. It seems like he's eating that up, because he's basically playing the victim himself, being like, well, people told me that we did whatever a rational parent would do, but in his darkest days, he needed an exceptional parent. Well, the reality is every day, even in his best day, he needed an exceptional parent.
And you know what? Just to add to that, because you're so right, I got that same vibe, just eating it up. To add to what you're saying, I feel like he's using the word exceptional the way the mother was using it, is to be more and more involved. But the exceptional nature that his son needed was just that still, like, just chill, you know, a little bit more chill. You know what I mean here? Like
strength, right?
Strength, and not all this mama like, I need to be exceptional. I need to be more. I need to be more. No, you need to be a dad and be less.
Yep. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about two things. I want to real quickly say, I called in Friday and I forgot to mention something about, we were talking about, like, men and women and the dynamics of men and women, but I wanted to talk about the idea that, like, what attracts a man to a woman?
Oh, a man to a woman?
Yeah.
Sex.
Yeah, her beauty, right? Generally,
correct.
Her beauty. But what attracts a woman to a man?
What she thinks about him.
I would say that it's his love for his God, right?
Oh, okay.
And that doesn't mean that he worships God, because it's the confidence and the strength and the actual masculinity that comes from having belief, right? So if the man is in love with himself, that's what attracts the woman to him. If he's in love with God, that's what attracts the woman to him. And what the woman is attracted to is the desire for that love. And what I'm trying to say is, women identify in men something that they desire to receive from that man. And so we can't hate women, because ultimately they want to be either worshipped like they are our God, or to take and give us praise as if we are their God. And both of those patterns destroy a man.
Wow, interesting. I mean, it makes sense. I could put it in. Please, go ahead. I'm cutting you off.
I was going to say, that was just what I wanted to say that I forgot to say Friday.
Something to think about. You know, I can put what you're saying in some common terms here, because think about it. You're saying what attracts a woman to a man. In general, I think we can agree on this. In general, even if it gets corrupt somewhere along the way and they're like, oh, actually, I just want to wrap this guy around my finger. What initially is there is, the reason I said what attracts her to him is her thoughts about him, is because even if he is or isn't this man you're talking about, the woman's initial kind of interest in him is that belief that he may be.
Right. Yeah. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just wanted to define it in a different way, a specific way, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm adding to what you're saying. You're making sense.
Yeah. It is ultimately her thoughts and beliefs on what the things that he represents that she identifies as wanting, that she wants.
Yeah. Because even like women who are, who I guess to maybe outsiders may see this hypothetical woman as clearly picking bad partners and all that, but bad people to be attracted to. Like, why do you keep picking this guy who's nobody, a loser, or whatever? Even those women, they are in their minds believing what you're saying. This is actually a man. This is a guy who's gonna this or that.
Well, and it's like if he's in love with his mother, what she's seeing is she wants the love he has for his mother to be given to her.
Oh.
Right? And it's just whatever he is in love with or whatever he believes in, that strength that comes from it is what a woman wants from him. And ultimately, she wants to take it from him, like receive it from him, right? And that process is what destroys a man, because it shifts the man off of what makes him successful, and it puts him onto the path of appeasing the woman, making her happy, pleasing her, doing things for her, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, kings have fallen to what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Rulers of armies.
Oh, yeah. Even wars are fought over this.
Right.
Like, what's that story? Helen of Troy, right?
Right.
Taken, right? But that was just kind of like an aside. What I really wanted to talk about is this amazing article, this thing that happened Monday. I don't know if you've spoken about it or if Jesse has, because I've been super busy this week, but there's an all-female flight crew, an Air Force flight crew.
No!
Monday. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. Go on.
Oh, dude, Monday, they, overshot a tarmac and drove, a military airplane into the ocean. I believe it was in Hawaii. And it's like this all-female flight crew. And I'm pretty sure it's, the first Navy all-female flight crew or something. It's so funny, dude.
Oh, no. It's been a bad month for women, first females in their field. I mean, wasn't it earlier this month there was an all-female spacewalk crew somewhere out in space, and I lost $100,000 worth of tools. We just dropped them into the expanses of space. It's been a bad month for the first females anything. I think I got it right here. All female combat crew takes it in stride, says this headline. Doesn't say what it is. We're gonna get into this, man. Interesting stuff, man. Thank you, Scott.
So real quick, I was
please go ahead.
That. Yeah, I was researching that, trying to find info on it, and I randomly found a scientific study from 1996 that is comparing male pilot accident rates to incident rates to female pilot incident rates. And it basically said, female pilots have a much higher incident rate than male pilots. And then it went on to be but we noticed that male pilots have more experience. So we created a model in which we adjusted the male pilot to compensate for the female pilot's inexperience, and we determined that there's truly no difference between men and women as pilots. And it's this is how the mind distorts.
That is amazing.
Because all they did is take the stats of the female pilot, their lack of experience, their lack of understanding, all of their mistakes, and they said, this is now a man, therefore there is no difference. And that is just logically stupid.
It truly is. I mean, what's amazing about what the statement you just said is these people are saying, well, we take out the experience and there's no difference. Asterisk, except for the experience we just took out of the stats, which is kind of the whole point here. And it's so evil because what this, the whole thing is we care about women and da-da-da. But what all this does is actually, should there actually be any woman out there, qualified or otherwise, it's over for them, because this is all we see now. This is all we see.
Right. Yeah, and it's it's so deep too, because truly anyone can look at men and women and just have a blatant, objective perception that in almost every single way, men are stronger.
Yep. I mean, they're better at everything. You know, generally speaking here. I mean, then they say the most beautiful women are men now. Some trans person won Miss Universe or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're even better at being women.
Another man. Yeah, didn't another man win like Woman of the Year this year?
Bingo. I mean, sorry, ladies, it's just not looking good.
Yeah, men are better at everything, including being women, apparently, because even the women say that the men are better women.
Bingo. I mean, it's time to love the order, ladies. Right on, Scott. Anything else? Last thing you want to say before we move these wheels?
Much love, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving or forgiving, whichever one you're practicing.
Let's go.
Thanks for the time.
Take care, Scott. Call me again. Right. Very cool. There must have been a female pilot during the early days of Nick's stream. Hey, how many days has it been since we had an accident? Okay? We have a almost spotless record, and every further Friday, the record becomes even more spotless thanks to the power of mathematics and averages. The record of Nick's stream and Anchor Baby Airlines becomes even more spotless. So I resent such chats in my chat. Huh? There must have been female pilot during the... It was a man, I think. It was an Anchor Baby affirmative action pilot who's now just become an absolute master with the A320neo. Next time I'm flying on an A320neo in real life, I'm going to be praying for an accident. I mean, I'm going to be praying for something to go wrong. Is there a pilot on board? Finally, my day is here. That's a joke. Okay, God. Okay, Lord, God, that's a joke. Okay, don't do that to me. Okay. That was a joke. Don't do this. Don't do that to me so that I may die from the ego. Allow me to die from the ego in a different, safer way, please, Lord. Okay. All-female combat crew takes it in stride. I'm going to look into this, Scott. Thank you. What a mess. Right on. Just checking the chats here, checking the streams before we move on to the next thing. It's a bad day for Catholics. Let me say this right now. It's a bad day for the Catholics. I hear bad things are happening. I'm hearing the Catholics, they're out here trying to defend something. They're out here trying to defend something, but it's not looking good for them. It's just not looking good. It's a bad day for the Catholics. They're fighting on Twitter. There's the Protestants, the Catholics, because some stuff has come out. Some stuff has come out about the Catholics, or at least it doesn't look good for the Catholics. Oh, the Catholics. I love the Catholics. I have no problem with the Catholics. They're Christians as far as I'm concerned. They may be into traditions or whatever. I really don't know the history, but some stuff is coming out. Some news is coming out. And they say it's not looking good. Not looking good for the Catholics. I'm talking, of course, about the Pope. I'm talking about the Pope, who apparently ate pasta. He ate some pasta, the impasta, alongside some trans women at the Vatican this weekend. Talking about trans women here. No, Renee, I'm just messing around. I have no problem with the Catholics. What's up, Renee? Nice to see you in the chat. You must press the red button on the flight sim to truly depart from the ego. Right on, Nathan. Of course, I'm talking about the Pope. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about the Pope. Pope Francis ate alongside trans women at the Vatican. And they're saying this is a bad look for the Catholics. And they're fighting on Twitter. And they're like, no, my team, no. No, you don't understand. My team is right. And stop. The Pope, don't get mad. It's just the Pope. Now, I forget what the Pope what that means for the Catholics. Is he the leader of the Catholics? Is that fair to say? On Sunday, Pope Francis hosted a lunch for about 1,200 poor and homeless people, including several trans women, many of whom are Latin American migrants and sex workers. They're saying this is a bad look for them, though. You may know Real Bryson Gray on X.com, Bryson Gray, he was a guest, I believe, on The Fallen State, maybe on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. I forget, maybe both. Calls himself a Christian conservative rapper. You know him from, different songs he's done, and he's out there, being, yelling Christ is King and making it happen. So Bryson Gray on Twitter, took to x.com to comment on this. He says, he writes, the Pope having dinner with trannies is literally going against 1 Corinthians 5, but these folk will defend it because they have no choice. Laughing, crying face emoji. And that's what they're doing. They're on Twitter defending this, going like, nah, I'm joking. I'm just seeing some Twitter spats about this. Under Bryson's tweet here, there's people saying, but this Pope goes against God's word, so he's not the real Pope, and blah, blah. So we're still correct. It's a religion fight. Religion fight. Somebody grab a Bible. But 1 Corinthians said, but Galatians says, religion fight. Theocracy fight. Kind of like a food fight. I only ever saw food fights in, like, shows in movies. Anybody ever have a food fight? Are those real? Food fights aren't real, right? It's just a movie thing, right? I ask because I'm always reminded of this funny story my sister told me. I guess she must have seen movies of food fights because she was in school at lunchtime in the cafeteria. She got the bright idea to get up and yell, food fight, and then she grabs like mashed potatoes or macaroni or something and throws it at the girl next to her. Only for crickets. Silence. She looks around. Everyone's looking at her like a crazy person who just threw food at someone. Crickets. Silence. So I've seen no evidence of real food fights. Nugget Man says one in high school. I was in a food fight in the 6th grade, Nick, says Lord Bibby. Okay, so they're real. They're real. Food fight. So they're having a religion fight. Religion fight. They're saying 1 Corinthians says you can't do this, Pope. So the Pope's wrong. Ryan Katz-Rivera, I believe he's the producer for Gavin McInnes. Funny guy. He's also commented on this. Quote tweets the video, the news report on Pope Francis hosting the transgender group. He's saying the captions, the pontiff hosted the lunch more than 1,000 poor people. So it's about poor people, he's saying. I like Ryan Rivera. I have no problem with him. But, they're out here defending. I believe he may be a Catholic, I guess. They're out here defending their religion. Religion fight. And so he posted this video. I guess this is an excerpt from a news story here talking about this very thing, where the Pope invited trannies. I mean, that's what Bryson Gray said, okay? I'm not calling them that. I would never call them such a nasty name, right, you two? That's such a nasty name. I'm not going to call them that. Transgender. And so I guess they're trying to say it's not fair because he was doing a homeless and poor people thing. It wasn't a transgender thing. It's just that these transgender people are poor too, and they're there as well.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, geez. So these are men. I mean, look at those hands. Look at those hands. Those are men. I know they're dressed that way, but if I was accosted by one of them late at night at a bus stop at 3 a.m., I'd be like, I know you're wearing the uniform of a lady, but them shoulders and hands look like they could cause damage. And so I guess these are the ladies. Beautiful for us trans because we are a bit forgotten, this person says. Jeez. Anyways, I think later on in the video, the point is made that a lot of these sex workers, they call them sex workers, trans sex workers are going to the churches because they're in need of help. They're homeless, they're hungry. And didn't they say, bring us the poor, bring us your hungry? And you know what? I don't get the whole religion fight. I like Bryson and Brian. I have no problem with them. I don't get the whole religion fight. I mean, I get what Bryson is calling them out. I get it. Because the Pope and the Catholics and the Christians and all sorts of people who call themselves followers of Christ seem to be increasingly more okay with this kind of thing. Yeah, well, love is love. Some churches even accept this as a as a possibility and a reality, that they are children of God. There is no Jew, no Gentile, no male nor female. And so ergo, there are trans people. It's crazy, it really is, forgetting that they were born a certain way. But I share with some of the commenters here because Bryson Gray brought this up recently on another topic. And I thought to myself, well, didn't Jesus dine with the prostitutes and all that? I'm not saying the Pope is Jesus and doing the same thing here, because Jesus also told them, well, sin no more, right? He didn't just accept their sin. But at the same time, they judged Jesus for being around the people who needed him the most. So for me, it's simple. I don't need to go to 1 Corinthians 5. Wait, what does 1 Corinthians 5 even say? 1 Corinthians 5. Maybe I'm a bad Christian. 1 Corinthians 5. What does it even say? Bible Gateway. We're reading NIV. We're reading the NIV. Don't get mad at me. New International Version. What does this say, okay? 1 Corinthians 5. It is actually reported that there is sexual immorality among you. Okay, so this is one of those letters to the Christians, to the Church of Corinthians. And of a kind that even pagans do not tolerate. A man is sleeping with his father's wife. Oh. And you are proud. Shouldn't you rather have gone into mourning? Okay, so this whole thing is basically admonishing this church who seemed to be okay with sexual immorality. But I don't need to go to 1 Corinthians 5 to know that Jesus was around the prostitutes, but at the same time, he didn't accept their sin. And I don't need to go to 1 Corinthians 5 to know what should I do if a trans person comes up to me and asks to have dinner with me. I don't need to be that obtuse. God gave me the ability to deal with life as it comes. And just pay attention to myself so that I may respond with love in all situations. And that doesn't mean accepting. You all know this. It's like common sense, right? Or is this totally strange to some of you? And you guys need a Bible verse for this one. I'm going to need a source. How do I act in this situation? I'm going to need a source. So you basically source bros. You're basically a bunch of source bros. Like, it's, for me, I don't need all that to just see that, okay, the Pope is okay with this kind of stuff. What a mess. And so they're fighting. Religion fight. Some of these comments are funny. Let me see if I can pull it up on this whole thing. Pope Francis equals Satanism. They're laughing at Ryan Katsu-Rivera's tweet here defending the Pope or Catholicism. They're just totally joshing on the guy. Let me see if I can pull it up. They're giving him the laughing, crying face emojis saying, your Pope is into troons. Careful, bro. Francis is liable to make Troon Feast a new holiday. You Catholic. And then the Catholics are going to fight back. Oh, this is rude. They made a little transgender edit of him. I heard you were there as well. Catholics versus Christians. I mean, it's a religion fight. It's silly. But they're on Twitter defending their whatever they got to defend. They're trying to hold together their religion or their notion of it. You don't need to hold anything together. Let go. You don't need to defend the Pope, Ryan. You don't need to bust out Corinthians, Bryson. You don't need to defend anything. Let the whole world call themselves Christian and Catholic and be wrong about it. Let them all be. They say the synagogue of Satan is Jews who call themselves Jews, but they're not. Christians do the same thing. They call themselves Christian, but they're not. If a vegan came up to you and said, I'm a vegan, but they have a plate of bacon in front of them, what do you call them a vegan? No, they're a liar. Let the whole world call themselves lie about being a Christian. You don't have to go and defend them. You don't have to go and defend a religion. I need to defend Catholicism now. You don't need to do all that. Shut up, Ryan. You don't have a dad. We have some Gavin McInnes fans in the chat here. They obviously watch a little bit of the show. That's one of the memes. Anyways, you don't need to defend all that. Just a little side note there. Bad day for the Catholics, but it wouldn't be a bad day if you just don't feel the need to identify with all these people in this and anything here. The Synagogue of Bacon. Funny stuff. Amazing. So, bad day for the Catholics. But it doesn't have to be. Don't let it be a bad day, huh? How about that? Thank you for the super chat there. Nathan says, source, bro. It's over, bro. I know. You really need a source, bro? I'm going to need a source, bro. Incredible. I got more amazing things to get into here. We got more amazing things. But first, I wanted to check this out. I mean, it was breaking news from one of our super chatters. What's going on in Canada? At the Canada-U.S. border.
We want to talk about the breaking news at a New York border crossing. The FBI is investigating a vehicle explosion there. This is at the Rainbow Bridge, U.S.-Canada border crossing. Let's get straight to CNN's Bryn Gingras.
Oh, the Rainbow Bridge? Is that Niagara Falls? Rainbow Bridge. The Rainbow Bridge, Niagara Falls. See, the Americans own the prettier... I forget. Who owns the pretty side? I believe the Canadians own the, nicer side of the falls, and the Americans get to look at it. So it's like an ego thing. Rainbow Bridge, is that in Niagara Falls? There's this bridge. Is that the bridge of Niagara Falls, or is that a different bridge? Anyways.
With the latest details, Bryn...
Oh, it is! The Rainbow Bridge. Yeah, I've seen this thing before. Yeah, I've been there multiple times. Niagara Falls, right on.
It's up to speed.
Yeah, Boris, the FBI, the ATF, the JTTF, which is the Joint Terrorism Task Force. There's a number of federal authorities, both on the U.S. side and also on the Canada side, that is monitoring the situation, trying to figure out exactly at this point what happened. What we know is that there was a car crossing into the U.S. from Canada, and what has been described as some authorities as a crash.
She said it like Trump.
At that crossing there at the Rainbow Bridge, and then a subsequent somewhat explosion is what the FBI is describing. Now, whether or not this was sinister or not is not clear at this point. However, as you can imagine, at this point of entry, it's going to be an uptick in security across that area. So that is what we are seeing currently in response as this is still being investigated. We're hearing there's a system-wide security uptick at this point due to this explosion. That means there are going to be more security checks of cars in that area.
Yo, you see that Punjabi hut in the background? Welcome to Canada. Punjabi hut and India. You see this?
Area around the airport.
Ah, there's my Canada. That is the Canada I remember.
In that area, and more security screenings of passengers who are coming in and out of this area. Now, of course, with the holiday, that was already sort of being an uptick, certainly as we've seen more travelers during this time. But this
so is it a terrorist attack? What happened?
Sort of definitely raised it to another level. So again, it's very unclear at this point what exactly happened at that crossing. We're still trying to get those answers as authorities.
Okay, so she doesn't have answers. Thank you. Well, thank you for telling us that you have no clue. But this is breaking, I guess, so we don't really know. Explosion at U.S.-Canada border was attempted terror attack, police source says. Okay, we'll do this one last video just to finish this reporting. Then we'll move on. Okay.
Alexis McAdams is reporting that according to high-level police sources, the explosion was an attempted terrorist attack. A lot of explosives in the vehicle at the time. The two people who were in the car are deceased. One Border Patrol officer was injured. Driving from the U.S. apparently to Canada, and we're trying to drive toward the CBP building. So all bridges in the area have been closed. All government buildings in the area have been evacuated.
And just like that, this is a major story for us this hour, John, as we just laid out the eve of Thanksgiving, millions of Americans trying to get on the road, take to the skies, to travel domestically as well as overseas. A lot of those folks heading to Canada. A lot of them might now be blocked at least temporarily from doing so in the wake of this reportedly attempted terrorist attack.
So if it's true that this information is correct, that the vehicle was going to transit the Rainbow Bridge from the American side to the Canadian side, that this may be an act of terror that was perpetrated against the border facility. So put that together with what we have seen on our southern border, and then the news from the FBI director that the terror threat alert level is at the highest it's been in years. And if you put those two things together, this could be a direct attack against our border security operations. And that would be a very big deal indeed.
Senator Chuck Schumer just tweeting a few seconds ago on X. He's closely monitoring the situation on the Rainbow Bridge crossing between the U.S. and Canada in Niagara Falls. Federal, state, and local law enforcement.
Well, I mean, they're monitoring it. We got the report from the police. Suspected terror attack. We got sleeper cells. They say we have sleeper cells. So Canada's got to close their border because they got sleeper cells coming in from Mexico. Yeah, pretty much it's all Mexico now. Like Canada, looking at their southern border, it's like, yeah, it's all third world, foreign, sleeper cell, terrorists. Just close it up. But I mean, you know they won't. And who's to say we're not going to get sleeper cells coming from the north with all the immigration they have over there? Canada's basically a beachfront for the Muslim world in North America, if you think about it. And that's why you see places like Dearborn, Michigan. How close is Michigan to Canada? Let's check this out. Because I know it's close. Isn't the Michigan in the Midwest? Do they speak kind of like the Canadians? Or am I wrong here? Hold up. I'm trying to pull it up here. Because I believe they share similarities, no? I believe they share similarities. And you think, they say Dearborn, Michigan, huge, right? Don't they have like Muslim leadership? They literally vote them in now that there's so many Muslims there. Well, that's one city in the state. The whole country of Canada is a beachhead for foreign influence. Chinese, specifically Chinese and Arab influence. They're a beachhead. In a very porous and even less, maybe, I'm not sure about this one, but maybe possibly even less controlled border of the north. So now we got two fronts. Anyways, yeah, Michigan is basically Canada, but with more potheads. Right on, Carver. Thank you. What a mess. So thank you for that breaking news there. I want to get into this here a little bit. Mama Spirit. They're talking about diseases again and health. Breaking, New York Appeals Court overturns Ploett's ruling on COVID-19 rulemaking. The regulation 10 NYCRR 2.13 established isolation and quarantine procedures for those who are under suspicion of having a communicable disease. Incredible. So they undid some rules here. And basically, what this amounts to is Kathy Hochul, the lady running New York over there, is bringing back the COVID rules and saying, well, if we simply suspect you have a communicable disease, we could do whatever we want to you. Okay, maybe not in those words, but somewhere in the ballpark there.
Absolutely. That is concerning. And in a tangible way, how might this affect people's lives, say, for a potential future pandemic or such?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, so the regulation can be reinstituted now because of this court decision. So that means the regulation, for any of your viewers who are not familiar with the regulation, it allows the Department of Health to pick and choose which New Yorkers they can lock up or lock down without any proof that you're sick, without any proof you've been exposed to a communicable disease. There's no time limit, so they could lock you up or lock you down for days or weeks or months. There's no location restrictions. They can put you in any facility they want. They can either lock you down in your house or they can remove you from your house with the force of police and put you into a facility, detention center, whatever you want to call it, that they
A FEMA
choose.
camp? A FEMA camp? Didn't they say that was just a conspiracy?
You would have no say. And then once you're locked up or you're locked down, there's no procedure in this regulation that says how you get out of quarantine once you're in there. So, just to give you an example, we were at the trial court last year arguing in front of the judge, and the judge asked the attorney general, if you take a family and you put them into a facility somewhere, how do they get out? And, the attorney general said, well, they could hire a lawyer and they could sue us.
So it's up to you to fight it. Wow.
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
And the ladies running New York, or the lady, Kathy Hochul. Remember, it was scared women running things during the pandemic stuff. Who was it? The scared director of the CDC, as the Hake Report. Remember that? What was her name? Rochelle Walensky, the scared director of the CDC. It was always such a good intro when talking about her, because that's what she was. She was scared. Remember, she even expressed fear about all this COVID stuff. And when you have fearful, emotional people running things, you get stuff like this. And they justify it. It makes sense to them. And they're trying to make you scared. I see y'all in the chat. One of you said that this so-called terror bombing over there in Canada, U.S. border, it's just more fear tactics to have control the people, put them into fear. Well, some are claiming the news is at it again with more of this fear propaganda. The Telegraph on this mystery child pneumonia, apparently a child pneumonia outbreak in China. Again, here we go again. We remember there was reports of this illness back in 2020 or whatever, 21. They called it a pandemic. And there was videos of people falling, reports of disease, and like I said, videos of people collapsing over there in China. Ooh, it's looking bad. They're showing these videos now on this outbreak of child pneumonia they're saying is dangerous. I don't know if this video has sound, but this video has been circulating. Is this more of that fear propaganda? Is this happening all over again? Look at these Chinese people in masks. Are you afraid? Chinese people in masks in a hospital? Yeah, that makes me nervous. That's way too many Asians in one hospital with masks. Anywhere in the world. That should make anyone nervous. But is this just more fear propaganda? They're saying there are indications of a large outbreak of viral respiratory disease in China. Videos are from various Chinese hospitals. Emergency room wait times are up to 24 hours, says this Dr. Lawrence Sellin. I mean, no link here to any news report, Dr. Lawrence Sellin. Be nice. Have you guys noticed a bunch of these doctors on X, on Twitter, are fake? And they're just a bunch of fake bots? Anyway, I don't know about this Dr. Lawrence Sellin, but they're saying deaths of the children as well as the elderly have been reported. Take precautions. The U.S. government won't protect you. Is this more fear stuff? Fear. Propaganda. We don't really need reports out of China. We got our own. Check this out. CNN. We don't need these reports. We have our own mystery illness. We have our own outbreak. We have our own domestic pandemic. Okay, China? Okay? And it's affecting the most noble of us, the most vulnerable of us, the people the ones we love the most protected class, the most loved and beloved class of creatures of living beings in this country, the most venerated and lauded. If you don't like this group, then you're most likely a bad person. I'm talking about dogs. I'm talking about the doggies. Mysterious respiratory illness is spreading among dogs and baffling veterinarians. Here's what owners can do. From New Hampshire to Oregon, researchers are trying to figure out what's causing an infectious respiratory disease among dogs that has turned deadly in rare cases. Not the doggies. Now the CDC will really lock us down. The mysterious illness is described as an atypical canine infectious respiratory disease. Not the dogs. Symptoms include coughing, sneezing. Dogs cough and sneeze. Eye or nose discharge and lethargy. Not the doggies, the poor dogs. But what don't they say these illnesses, some of these horrible illnesses that started in people, started in animals first? Hold up. Don't they say that like AIDS came from like a monkey? You hear about that, Bill? Bill's saying yes. I heard they had sex with the monkey. I think that's a conspiracy theory though. That some weird sex stuff happened with the monkey and that's how AIDS got created. That's obviously weirdos and bigots online. So from one of those wet markets where they were selling monkeys, and they say that monkey meat. So they're selling monkey meat, and that's how AIDS started. Oh my God! I mean, that's what they say about COVID too, right? They say there was wet markets and they were selling all sorts of weird meat. Now I don't want to fearmonger here. I don't want to alarm people here, but. Everybody practice sexual morality, please, because we don't need this virus from the dogs right now jumping over and creating a human variant and creating our newest COVID or newest whatever here in America. And they're saying about you ladies out here, and I don't want to be nasty here, but they're saying some nasty things about you ladies online and some things that some affinity you have with the dogs. They're saying nasty things about you ladies. Please, please. Please, we don't need the new AIDS created by these women out here loving their dogs, just loving their doggies. The dog lovers, please practice. But apparently it wasn't sexual immorality. Maybe I'm just a bigot. Maybe I'm just a nasty person here. Hashtag not all ladies, right on. Maybe it's a wet market thing. They're saying this illness is in the dogs, mysterious illness. Please, let's not have any more interaction with I've seen videos, you're getting all licked up by the dogs, doing this mouth-to-mouth stuff with the doggies. We don't need a disease to jump over, mutate, and become the new American AIDS, okays? Please, practice hygiene. I suspect the gays. Some ladies taking it personally in the chat, huh? Not all. We don't need paranoid men. Funny stuff. Just playing around. Speaking of the ladies, though, check this out. You know who Florida Republican Representative Salazar is? Maria Salazar. You know who this is? Florida Republican Representative. She's a Republican. Firebrand conservative. What's her name? Maria Elvira Salazar. I'm talking about this firebrand conservative woman, lady. I'm talking about Maria Salazar. You may know her. Maybe you don't. I'm trying to show you a picture of her. Here she is. There she is. Here she comes to wreck the day. Where's that from? Here she comes to wreck the day. I feel like that's Jim Carrey or something. I'm talking about Maria Salazar because she's in the news over some comments she made about Javier Milei, whose hairstyle I'm sporting, newest president of Argentina. They call him a libertarian. You know, I was I was talking about a tweet, a X.com post that I attributed to Javier Milei the other day. I said that he tweeted Trump 2024, and I was like, right on. If you like Trump, it's got to be something good. Apparently, that was a parody account. I keep getting fooled by these parody accounts on X. My bad. So he may not have tweeted that. I'm not saying he doesn't like Trump. Anyways, they're saying he's a libertarian. I wish the Argentinian people well, though. Hopefully this is a good development. I can't know. But if he's their Trump, I sure hope he is, and I wish you all well. That being said, Florida Republican Representative Salazar is in the news thanks to a video endorsement she made of this Javier Milei. And I want to play some of this because it's in Spanish. And she says something here that is quite interesting. She said it in Spanish. Okay, let's see here.
Domingo va a ser.
And so, Javier Milei, elected president of Argentina. Here's U.S. Representative Maria Salazar praising this moment here. We're going to do a little translation here, okay? Let's translate our lovely Republican Florida Representative Maria Salazar's comments, her video endorsement of Javier Milei. Let's do a little translating here. We're going to get into it, okay?
El domingo va a ser un día trascendental para los hermanos argentinos.
The Sunday will be a transcendental moment for our Argentine brothers.
Porque van a tener que escoger a través del presidente.
All right, this was before Milei was elected.
Su destino.
They're going to have to choose their destiny.
Tienen dos opciones.
They have two options.
Continuar con la corrupción, con el peronismo y con esas políticas que han destruido a la Argentina.
Continue with the corruption, cronyism, or the policies that have destroyed the Argentina
en los últimos 20 años.
In the last 20 years.
O ir a un camino nuevo, que sabemos que no es socialista y que quiere destruir la corrupción endémica.
And to take a different path, and to understand socialism is in its endemic destruction. I believe she said about socialism.
Endémica que ha penetrado ese país.
That has penetrated that country.
Desde el Capitolio de los Estados Unidos.
She has that castellano. I hear she's Cuban, but she's got that castellano way of speaking. Very fancy. Why don't you talk like a Cuban? Óyeme chico, blah, blah, blah. She's got a very fancy castellano. I wonder if she grew up speaking like that.
Unidos. Nosotros sabemos que queremos tener las mejores.
Oh, never mind. There it is a little bit. There's the Cuban a little bit. Nosotros sabemos. There it is. My bad.
Nosotros sabemos que queremos tener las mejores relaciones con el pueblo argentino.
We know we want to have the best relationship with the people of Argentina.
Que queremos que ese pueblo prospere, crezca,
that
tenga
nation,
prosperidad.
We want that nation to prosper.
Y que sea uno de los primeros países del mundo porque es lo que se merecen.
To be one of the best and first countries of the world because it's what they deserve.
Un país que tiene de todo.
It's a country that has everything.
Tiene soya.
They have soy. I don't know why she chose that first. They grow soy.
Tiene carne.
It has meat.
Tiene minerales.
They have minerals.
Tiene tierra.
They have land.
Tiene agua. Y
they have water.
Tiene una sola cultura, una sola religión y una sola raza.
Whoa! Hold up. Back it up. She says she's praising Argentina here. She's praising their minerals, all the stuff they make, their soy. Okay. And then she praises this right here.
Agua y tiene una sola cultura, una sola religión y una sola raza.
They have one culture, one religion, and one race. She praises Argentina. One religion, one culture, and one race, she says.
Completamente homogéneo.
Completely homogeneous, she says.
¿Cómo es posible que la Argentina no esté en el
as she goes on, we don't need to watch the rest, but basically she goes on to ask, how is it possible that Argentina is in the position that it found itself in? And she talks about socialism and a couple of other things here. But it's her comments about her praising of Argentina's one culture, one religion, and one race, and being completely homogenous that's getting picked up by the news here. Here's the article here from NBC. In a video endorsement of Javier Milei, days before he was elected, U.S. Representative Maria Elvira Salazar praised the country as having everything, including one culture, one religion, one race, and being completely homogenous. Argentina chose Milei, a right-wing libertarian and former television pundit who calls himself an anarcho-capitalist. Okay. The comment by Salazar, a Florida Republican who is of Cuban descent, 𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, appeared to refer to a perception of Argentina, including among its own citizens, as a country of white European descendants. Now, I think NBC's reading into it. I don't know if that's what she was saying. She's referring to this perception of Argentina. I think it was a lot simpler than that. She was literally just saying they're unified by one religion, and it's a good thing. That being said, there is that perception. I have it too. I mean, they are kind of whiter. I'm sure they have indigenous peoples and all that, but they have an interesting history. They always looked whiter, and they spoke differently, the Argentinians. Boludo, óyeme, boludo. Pero boludo. And they are whiter. That's my perception of them too. That perception, the article continues here. That perception is often criticized for ignoring the South American country's black and indigenous culture and ancestry. And it's sometimes fodder for mockery as well as memes. And this article links to some memes. Hold up. What are you linking me towards here? I haven't seen the memes. I want to see the memes. Okay, we don't have time for that. Continuing the article here, Salazar further questioned why, with those characteristics, Argentina is in the state it's in. Okay, the crippled economy, etc. So, very interesting here. I found this funny. This is why. Because she's praising, this is Maria Salazar, praising Argentina for this. But let me show you Maria Salazar not too long ago. Representative Maria Salazar, firebrand conservative, fighting for the Floridians of the 27th District. Well, let me show you what she said back in 2022 in February, when Maria Salazar introduced what she calls the Dignity Act. The Dignity Act. Let's watch her comments about this Dignity Act back in 2022.
My parents fled Cuba 60 years ago with $5 in their pocket, and thanks to the exceptional American system, they made it, and they made it very well. And I am the product of that American dream. And today, America is hurting because inflation is going through the roof, there are more jobs than hands to fill them, and we have a crisis at the southern border. These are urgent problems that we need to fix, including millions and millions of people living in this country in the shadows, without rights, without accountability. That's not the American way. In Washington, it's time to stop pointing fingers and accept the truth. In Washington, it's time to stop pointing fingers and accept the truth. What are we going to do with the mess at the border? And what are we going to do with those who are here and who are undocumented? We need to fix our broken immigration system once and for all. And big problems require big solutions. That is why I am introducing the Dignity Act. This bill does three things. First, it ends illegal immigration once and for all. How? By fully securing the border with the best technology out there. It imposes heavy penalties for those new aggressors who ignore our new laws and dignity. And at the same time, gives an answer to those who have been living here in the shadows for years and years. We are a nation of laws, but we are also a nation of second chances. This bill offers two programs, the Dignity Program and the Redemption one. And here is how it works. If you have been living here for more than 5 years, you have not committed a crime, and you have been working and paying taxes, you can live with dignity. That means not receiving government assistance and paying $1,000 a year for 10 years. That's the Dignity Plan. That money will create a pot for American workers to be retrained, to learn a new skill, a new trade, or find a better job. For every immigrant in the Dignity Program, 2 American workers will be retrained. After dignity comes redemption. If you want to become an American citizen, then you can spend another 5 years learning English or history and helping your community. And what about the economy? Well, it gives the business community new hands to fill millions of jobs available.
Wow, we got new hands for millions of jobs. And I know some of that may sound nice to some of you. I know some of that makes sense to some of you. And the thing is, the reason it makes sense is because the bar is so low. And so when you hear someone talking like that, you're like, well, that's a step in the right direction. And I won't even disagree with that, right? Some of those things are good, right? Hey, watching out for the Americans here. But you got to understand the pernicious nature of what's going on here. 2 workers per immigrant, she says. That's the cost. That's the sacrifice. That's the cost, okay? Because you get, here's what you get, a pot of money that retrains 2 workers per immigrant. But the deal is America changes. America must change. Demographics must change, and you don't get to keep your country. Kind of too steep of a cost, if you ask me. And this, look, like I said, it's like obviously she's trying to step in the right direction here, but this is really, to me, on display how low our standards are. She's out here saying, I came from Cuba, I gave them such horrible things, and da-da-da. And then she talks about the millions here living in shadows, creating this parallel, this connection, like these people too are going through so much, just like my parents did. Just like my parents did, and America's putting them through it. These people came here and broke the law and came here on their own accord. She says they're living in the shadows without rights, and that's not the American way. Pointing fingers. She's pointing fingers at us, at all of you. Not my parents. I'm an anchor baby. But she's pointing fingers. You don't get to just do this double thing like, okay, we're going to secure the border, but no. No. Just no. And her big solution is feeling bad. I get it, secure the border, but how many times have we heard secure the border and give these people amnesty at the same time? It's never the two. It's always the amnesty part, but never the secure the border part. No, I don't want to hear halfway measures. I don't want to hear this halfway stuff. I only want to hear from a person who wants to do the right thing, and that's close it all up. That other stuff can be dealt with after. And I get it, there's a bunch of people here already. But to say they're living in the shadows and all that, you're a communist. And you don't believe in the one culture, one race, and homogeneousness, the homogeneity or whatever of America. It's like it's a unified people for thee, but not for me, not for us. What the? She's a liar. Talking about, and she said it in Spanish too for Javier Milei in this endorsement over there. Yeah, we have ChatGPT. Okay, we can translate you. We have anchor babies. And you're out here talking all this. Can we get this same energy for America? You know what I'm saying here? Bringing in new hands. We need new hands for America. One culture, one race, one facial cosmetic surgery. Oh my God. What a mess. Who's simping in the chat? She would be cute to me if she didn't speak. Yeah, she should be at home. Americans should not pay for any illegals to learn English. Yes, I'm with you, Latine. Making a lot of sense, Latine. Retraining sounds like communism. You guys seeing what I'm seeing? Hello. Argentina was a Nazi rat line. Probably lots of base people. Yeah, I heard about that before. Is that true? Nazis fleeing to Argentina? Why? How come they accepted them? Argentinian people are beautiful, and I love their accent. Oh, se me boludo. Is boludo a bad word? Oh, se me tío, like the Spanish. The Argentinians speak a lot like the Spanish to me, like the Spaniards. Oh, se me tío. Everyone's tío up there. Everyone's tío in Spain. Build back better in a red dress and turkey neck. Dang. What can I say? We are one culture. We are one culture, one people, united by one movement, one social movement. We are one movement. We are one cup, one people, one united by one social movement. I'm reminded of this this silly video, Sam Hyde. We're united by one movement.
One planet. People, one planet.
I'm reminded of this video.
One planet. Can you see what I see?
We are one people.
We are one people.
United in a social movement.
We are one people.
United.
Guys, check it out. Check out the Toss It Project if you guys want a good laugh. My time is done. My time is done. Now it's time for your race and other undesirables. Jeez. Anyways, thank you, Birdie Bound Brian, with the super chat there. Says, happy Thanksgiving. Keep on pointing out the truth, sir. Thank you, sir, for the super chat there and supporting the show. Birdie Bound Brian coming in strong with the super chat. Man, thank you. What a mess. Argentinos accepted them because they are beautiful and good-looking people. Why people? Says Latine in Cali. Oh, I didn't know that. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Is that a fact? Is that a fact? That's why the Argentines accepted the Germans. You call them Nazis, but I'm not going to dehumanize them. They were Germans. Because they are beautiful and good-looking white people. I think that might be a fact. You guys are cracking me up in the chat. Smash the like and comment. Thank you, Lily Pooh and Brian WRWK over there on Rumble, supporting me on Rumble. We got ice creams from D-Live. I love ice cream. I love ice cream. Ice cream for ice cream. Carver 531 with the super chat there says we got because of timed. Thank you for that, Carver. Coming in strong with the super chat and the support. Amazing stuff. Maria Salazar. We love Maria. What's the song? What am I thinking of? It's a song. It's a song about an Argentine. They say AOC looked like her. What am I thinking of? Don't cry for me. Don't cry for me, Argentina. What's that? I feel like there's like a German Nazi connection to the whole "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" thing, or is it the AOC thing? AOC, Argentina, Trump. Remember Trump said something about AOC? Trump, AOC, Argentina. Trump congratulates Argentine libertarian Javier Milei. Okay. Thank you, Kevin Howe. Right on, back to back. You guys rock. Thank you for the support. Kevin Howe says, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Very generous super chats here. Happy Thanksgiving to all. Thank you so much. Hey, yeah, you're right. Evita Perón, or something like that. Thank you, Hake. Eva Perón. The Mexicans, they use that word differently, that last name. Bien perrón, güey. I'm talking about a last name. I'm not saying that word. I'm saying a last name. I know I said it Mexican, but I'm not saying that word. So you can't get mad at me because I'm not cussing. I'm saying a last name. Eva Perón. Apparently they were Nazi lovers. Allegedly. Alleged Nazi lovers. Perón. Way. No, it doesn't mean tequila, Matthew. Bien Eva Perón. Way. So that were they Nazi lovers? Eva Perón. Nazi sympathizer, says Daily Mail. Uh-oh. Why did they sympathize? First Lady Eva Perón allowed Nazis to hide out in Argentina in exchange for treasures looted from rich Jewish families. The Jewish loot? Give me the loot. This First Lady had dollars on the mind. Or should I say, francs. She had francs on the mind, and I'm not talking about hot dogs. Or were they marks? Did the Germans use marks or francs? German francs? Nope. German francs. German marks. Okay, wait. What am I getting wrong here? German francs. What am I getting wrong here? Is a franc just a hot dog? I'm getting hot dog, franc, mark. It's all so confusing. German francs to US dollars. No. The French use the francs. Duh. The German Deutsche Mark. Okay, my bad. The joke died. A little bit of wordplay. Eva. According to a new book, Eva Perón and her husband, former president, kept quiet about the number of Nazis who were hiding out in Argentina. So I guess you guys are right. Argentina did allow a whole bunch of Nazis in. He later faced trial and was hanged for the war crimes he committed. Oh no, talking about a Nazi person. Adolf Eichmann. Adolf Eichmann, key orchestrator of the concentration camps. Lived under a false name, worked for Mercedes-Benz until 1960. Mengele, Josef Mengele, angel of death, also in Argentina. Found refuge in Argentina. I didn't know some of this. I heard a little bit of this. I guess they wanted the Jewish gold. They say they have gold, and the Argentinians got it. Francs are beef, not money. Oh, gotcha. All right, y'all, that's the show. I'm going to leave some of this for tomorrow. We had our fun here. We got into the topics. We took the calls. We read the super chats. I'll be back tomorrow for more American Anchor Baby. Tomorrow is Thursday. We got Open Line Friday coming at you on the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. Don't miss it, 6 a.m. Of course, the Hake Report, as we do. We love it. We love it. And we got more American Anchor Baby tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Don't miss it. Should be nice. Should be fun. Make sure you subscribe. Drop a like. We had some generous, beautiful, amazing, lovely super chatters today, but not everybody can super chat. You can support the show by liking the stream, liking the video after the fact, chatting away in my chat, and even leaving a comment underneath the video after the fact. Like it if you like it, leave a comment if you don't, or if you do. It all helps. So I appreciate it. Folks, Alpha's working on Thanksgiving. We'll be doing the shows tomorrow, that's for sure. And then we're going to enjoy ourselves our Thanksgiving, right? Folks, see you tomorrow. American Anchor Baby. And that's all. Peace.